Thank you so much for being here,
Thank you
Aron.
for having me.
All right, let's start off by getting to know you first. Tell us what led you to this passion of yours.
Um, Thank you, everyone. Hello, hello. Um, I was just a hobbyist to start off with the photography, but the main thing that pushed me to focus on photography was music. I always wanted to be part of the music scene in Addis. There's concerts, live bands every night, and I couldn't sing or perform, so that was one way of getting to the concert photography, then documenting. So I have been documenting the concert scene and the live music scene for about 3-4 years. Then I ended up falling in love with photography more. So it was more a discovery of what I had in me, and music was a way of to get that in there. Yeah.
So it was another outlet for you.
Yes, it was another outlet to tell the stories that I wanted to share as well.
That's pretty awesome. So you've achieved a lot. I mean, you've showcased your work in so many countries, and you've got international recognition. And you're actually the photographer for the Prime Minister himself. So how did you get to where you are now? What were some of the opportunities, challenges you faced in this journey of yours?
The main thing is dedication. I mean, for the place where I am right now, I wouldn't say this is my biggest achievement. There is more to come, and I know, and I'm getting there. But I have been dedicated, given all my time since I drop out of college. I focused on my photography, and I have constantly developing that skill, and I have given all my time, and I knew what I wanted, so I kept on telling the stories I want. So as always, whenever you focus on something, it will pay back. So it's started to pay back. Yeah.
So dedication is one key lesson. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I mean, you're so young, and the fact that this is not even your biggest achievement yet is just pretty incredible. So what does the future look like?
The future is brighter, yes, but it's always fun to be the youngest person in the room wherever I walk in, whatever events I cover in, wherever I'm at right now, and to be in that kind of office, the youngest person, it's amazing. But you get to learn so much more from different people you interact with. So for me, the next challenge is going to be for the place where I'm right now. I need to properly focus and document the history properly, because it's such, as Caleb said, this is the best time to be in Addis for me. And whatever changes happening, I have to document it, and it's a huge responsibility to tell that story properly. For now, that's what I'm focusing on, but next I will definitely be working on my photo books, trying to give workshops, mentorships, but mostly I will have a couple of books coming out as well.
We're really looking forward to that. So I'll open up the stage for a couple of questions from you, so get your questions ready. But this is the last question from my side. What advice would you give for aspiring photographers or anyone who wants to excel in their sector?
The one thing I know properly is photography, it only takes time. It's just, there is no way you could get to the professional level while you started. The technical aspect of photography is the most easiest part you can learn. A couple of days will be enough to know the camera properly. But it's just, you just need to take photos every day. Our mentor, Ida, used to say always, like, before you go to sleep, at least take a photo of your food at least a day. It doesn't matter. So if you like the photography, just keep on taking, whatever classes, workshops you go to, it doesn't matter. That's the least thing they could show you. You just have to keep on practicing it. And what you learn after 5 years of taking photos that you cannot get on the first day. That is the worst part of photography, is there's no shortcut. You just will get there when you are there. So the fastest way to go there is just to do it, to give it your fullest time and to do it every day. That's when it comes to photography. So, and as everything else, follow the passion and give it time. When I dropped out of university from software engineering, it's like after a year, I couldn't even bear to sit down in a class and study. We sit down in a computer. I am a people person. I go around. I want to hear stories, and I want to reflect back on that. And when I decided, it was not even a tough decision to stop the class. It's just proving to the parents that it was I have to try this out, and if it fails, we'll do it again, but I will give it all the time I had. Yeah.
That's pretty great. It takes a lot of courage to decide something like that, and it's truly awesome that you're here now with us. So I'm sure a lot of people have questions. I'm going to start from this side. So if you have any questions, now is a great time to ask.
And all the people you know me don't ask me anything. If you know me, that means you can ask me anywhere else.
Okay, thank you. My name is Seleshi. You have captured several photographs so far, and which one is your favorite one?
Photographs, it's always about the stories you share at the moment. And if it is street photography, you are feeling the moment. That means at the time of you took that photo, that means it was sentimental to you. For me, my first series that I did on the Patriot series is the most sentimental, the whole series. Because I grew up listening to my grandfather's story about war, and I've always been interested in documenting this war heroes and warriors and patriots we have. So it really means so much for me. So the photos might look the same as other photos you see, but it's more sentimental to me, and it really communicates that as well. Oh, that, I think my favorite will be the one I'm going to take tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow. Not yet. I'm still studying him, so not yet.
So as a photographer that is in the highest levels of the government daily, what does your average day look like?
The first thing is there is no such like, Monday, Tuesdays. It's just every day is Monday that you're working 7 days. And this, our prime minister is very workaholic, so he would be working 7 days. So you definitely have the same days as every days. But always go to the office. You don't get like simple directions. So it's always on standby, like a soldier.
Can you tell us the story of how you actually became the official photographer of Abiy?
I got the randomest call at 9 in the morning to be at the palace in 30 minutes. And I got there, and they offered me the job, and you don't say no to them. I don't know the process, how they went in and everything, but that's all I know.
Hi. I think for me, I'd like to know how you get, especially in Ethiopia, because a lot of people, at least in my experience, can be quite hesitant when you want to take their photo, or like you're not even taking a photo of them, you could be taking a photo of like a building and they're like, what are you doing? Like, mindano manaman. How do you get people to, open up to you and know that, I'm not, this camera is not a weapon, it's like a way to connect with you. How do you get, what is your process basically?
Shooting in the streets is my least favorite, but at the same time, I wouldn't just go and take photos usually of people mostly. What leads me to my photos usually is a conversation I have with people. So I always I'm a portrait photographer, so I need to know the story, what I'm saying. And if I'm doing street photography, it's always better to ask excuse than permission, always. Then you just be as friendly as you can be. As much as angry they are, you're always should be the lowest. All the photographers, the biggest ones, the legendary ones, still will have the same thing. And the community we have is not photo openly as well. They're always sensitive about who's taking their photos and such. The best thing about doing shooting with a phone is to be invisible as much as you can. I can have my phone and take photos of you at any moment, and without even you noticing it. So it's just knowing that balance. And then if they come encounter you, it's always staying calm, explain to them, make them fun, have fun, just smile up and everything. And it always works for me.
So my question is, like, when you made the decision to quit school and go into photography, one of the biggest fears for anybody going into the art field in general, about whether it's like music or photos or is how do I make a living doing this? You know, like pretty much when you think of a photographer in Addis, it's like the wedding photographer or the photographer at your graduation. So what was that thought process like about like how am I going to kind of sustain myself through this career?
Very good question. That was the main question I asked before I made this decision at all. While I was a student, I still took photos. I was still trying to discover photography more. But I had the chance to spend a week in Addis Photo Fest, which Ida organized, and I met with amazing talented photographers all over the world. This is like photographers who have been taking photos for 50 years and more than that. And to see and meet up with people who actually does what they love and go around the world and showing what they do, and they are still getting paid for that, and that is like the dream to do. But in between, to get there you have to have, you know, pay the bills and survive as well. That was the biggest thing. But you know, in Addis, that is the best advantage we have, is whatever you do, you can make it work. Because you know it's never been like it's never been done the way you want it to do, and we have the chance in a way to express whatever you are presenting in a way to get the new market. And yeah, it took a couple of years while doing a free stuff. I have done like until 2 years of photography. I have been doing free stuff for everybody, just making more networks, developing my portfolio, as well as you can't be expecting the money to come in like the first month as well. You need to have a strong portfolio too, and go and network as well. You know, photography is more than the photos you took. It's just the people you meet around, and the marketing does the same well as well. Yeah.
Hi. So do you have time to take other pictures, or just the Prime Minister takes all your time?
I do as much as I can. I try to get some more out of the compound shots as much as I can. Yeah.
When I think of photography, I think of it sort of as blending being an artist, a documentarian, and a journalist in different ways. So I'm curious, which of those do you identify with the most, and do you see them ever in conflict with each other?
Okay. Have I discovered that yet? It is documenting history. That's what camera does. It's freeze time, whatever you take, it's at that moment you do it. It's journalistic because you want to tell a story, and you have you are making the decision which way you want to tell the story. I can make whatever it is here to look as bad as it is, or to make it look good, or I have that decision as a journalist. And as an artist, you become who decides the story beforehand. If you are thinking what to take your photos, like before coming here, I know what kind of things I want before seeing these things. So if the photos happen in my mind way before the camera, and that is what I'm looking for before taking the photos. So all this tree could be like defined in photography, and it's a level of photography you get into. Before, you can't just become the artist before knowing proper photography, but all of those integrate in the same point for me, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say that I'm a big fan. I
And
think
I
you
know
know
you,
this.
I said.
I know, but I couldn't resist. So my question is, I think one of the most famous 1970s pictures of Ethiopia is basically of starving children. And like, obviously we're growing far from that, but like, how do you see yourself contributing to basically promoting the real Africa, the real Ethiopia, and our lives, and changing people's perceptions abroad?
You know, that is the biggest thing in photography, is the biggest power you have, is that you can change the narration of what people think about whatever the place it is. At the moment, as much as that photos were really bad and it shows our situation in a bad timing, it made the effect though. It made a proper effect. So whatever photos we take right now, we are responsible for those things, for the things we want to accomplish. And again, our mentor used to say, you know, like it's so easy to take photos of like beggars in the street and everything because it's different than what you see, and people would like it and everything. But you're actually documenting or taking a photo of a person in their worst situation, and that could happen to you the same way as well. So before taking that photo, you need to think, you know, am I still keeping their dignity and chance? You know, you could be sleeping and taking photos. That's why you hate when people take a photos of you while you're sleeping. Imagine your friends doing that. And those people in the streets are in their worst situation, and what are we trying to communicate? And in all the photos that I'm doing and that I always wanted to do is just telling the stories that people never knew about it. And if you see my stories, my series about the Patriots history and the Asmaris, both of them, I bet, let alone the foreigners, Ethiopians didn't know the proper histories. So those are the responsibilities that we have to narrate the story in our direction that we are actually telling a story. And whatever we do in the streets and everything, we are responsible for those things. So I try to be responsible as much as I can.
Hi. It's been said that photographs tell thousands words, right? Like there's a saying in that. And having taken a lot of picture of the Prime Minister, I mean, you can see a lot of his character within your lessons of camera, right? So what can you say about him? And is he the same kind of person that we see in front of the screen as well as in the background? What can you say about him?
One thing I can tell you, he makes my job much easier. He's a properly human being that whatever take photos I do, and I think it's because he's doing it, he's actually is that. Other than that, he's a great human being.
Hi. As a photographer, what's your aspiration in the future? Like, do you want to work in the National Geographic thing or something like that? I mean, like, do you feel like working there?
It's not just a specific organization to work for, but it's always my accomplishment is to tell the stories I want to tell, to exhibit the photos as many places as much as I can so that they reach to the biggest crowd they can get and to the people to the farthest we can take our history. And it's all about Ethiopian history, so it's National Geographic or other magazines. They will be lucky to have photographers from here, so they just want to come. No, man.
No, ለምንድን ነው ስልክ ማታነሳው አይደል? No, my one question is, you know, there's iconic images that we remember of every, you know, leader somewhere, and now, which one of it do you remember? Which iconic image of a president or a prime minister that Allah anta lani ይሄ ነው የምትለው, and why?
This is the problem. I said not my friend. Makub is my great mentor and good friend of mine as well. So I want to say thank you for everything. The greatest picture. I try after I got this job. I tried to discover like how the world leaders has been properly documented and how their stories been told and how they've been documented. But for me, the most powerful, as much as I remember, is I couldn't remember the photographer, but there's this photo of Mella entering the palace while they just won and took over Addis. And he was just looking back out, and you can see all the things they've been through, like how his hair is situated, and there are different guards around him, like improperly dressed up soldiers and everything. And that photo is really powerful for me and very timely documented. You know, you can it might not be taken at the first step he was stepping in, but you know that story was properly conveyed in that situation, and that photo is very powerful.
Amazing. I wish we can take more questions, but sadly we don't have time. But if you have any questions, I'm sure Aron will be around after the event, so you can link up with him then. Well, please help me, let's give a big round of applause to Aron.
Thank you very much. Thank you.